Located on Royal Pier Road, Gravesend Lifeboat Station has been operational for the RNLI since 2001. The crew are responsible for the patch of river between the Thames flood barrier and Holhaven, approximately 26 miles of the Thames. The station has around 50 volunteers and a handful of full-time staff that take turns to man the station 24/7, helping to deliver quick response times of under 15 minutes. The station shares the pier with the Port of London Authority and is opposite the Port of Tilbury, where post-war migrants disembarked from the Empire Windrush ship. To find out more about the Gravesend station, we interviewed several crew members whilst they were on shift.
My name's Jason Carroll. I'm 43 years old. I'm the station manager at Gravesend Lifeboat Station. I started off back in 2001 as a Thames helm. 4 years ago I moved role to station manager, so I oversee the running of the lifeboat station and the crew.
Name Tim Smith, age 48. My job, I develop websites, self-employed, and I'm crew member here at Gravesend, and also crew and on a trainee helms plan down at Whitstable.
My name is Ryan Kaleska. I am 37 and I am trainee crew here at Gravesend Lifeboat. In my other world, I work for the military, for the Ministry of Defence.
So my name's Alex Swan, I'm 24 years old, and I'm volunteers at both Whitstable Lifeboat Station primarily and Gravesend. Day-to-day job until recently, I was working as a software support analyst.
My name's Louise Foster, I'm 32 years old. I've been in the RNLI 4 years now. My day job, I work at a pet store, and I also work at Wilkinson's hardware stores.
At the time, I had quite a lot of spare time. I was working a part-time job, lived in Whitstable all my life. I learned to sail and I wanted to do something with spare time and give something back.
I think it's something I've always been interested in, and my role in my day job is now quite desk-based, so I wanted to get back out and do something more active, and this kind of filled both the volunteering stuff that I still wanted to do, but also the active piece.
You can pretty much break the river up into sections. Chennington, up their end, a lot of leisure craft. Chiswick the same, very shallow, small, narrow stretches of the River Thames, large rowing community. Central London, the hustle and bustle, the high risk area, the traffic flowing through on the river, the population coming in and out of London, as well as the commercial aspects. And then as you come further down the river, we slip into more of the commercial area. So each station operates differently, but each with their own unique risks.
To be honest, before I joined, I'd never really been on a boat. I mean, I'd been on ferries and that, obviously for trips to Ireland, but that's the only kind of maritime experience I ever had. But now I've learned how to, more confidence in myself, learn to work as a team, which is important because you've got to trust your crew, you've got to trust each other to help you get through serious situations.
Yeah, but everything really. I'm not from a mariner's background, so everything is pretty new, which is quite nice, as you don't come with any preconceptions or any kind of ideas that you already know how to do things. You're kind of just learning everything from scratch, really.
A lot of rope handling, a lot of the kind of other seamanship qualities as well, sort of the teamwork as well. It's a massive thing. You learn quite a lot about casualty care, which has been really invaluable, and sort of interpersonal skills as well is brilliant.
Yeah, the skills you learn when you join up with the RNLI is so varied, from casualty care to seamanship skills, which is obviously a big part now because the majority of the crew who join don't come from a maritime background. And also, it does make you a lot more aware of the increasing problems also with like mental health, because a number of jobs we get now are increasingly mental health related, So yeah, it makes you much more aware of that and sort of take an interest in that side of things as well. Because we never know, we may be called to a job where it may be me or someone else who may be needed to actually talk to that person to stop them going too far.
Over the last 6 to 8 years, we've noticed a big increase in calls to people suffering from mental health crisis. The training that we receive from the RNLI has been minimal, but the impact that we have on these individuals could be absolutely huge. There are certain areas within our area of operation where we get called to more than most. I think that the increase in incidents that we're called to can be related to cuts throughout the public sector, and that's my opinion. I don't think that there is enough support for people with mental health issues and facing mental health crisis. I don't think there is enough support financially for them, and I just think they're just milled through the system. And anyone suffering mental health crisis needs that support for the long term.
Right, there is challenging parts. A lot of it, the main challenging parts that I think come mentally is when you've been out on a job and then you often do have that, what if that happened? What if this happened? Give you an example, one shout, there was a 11-year-old and 13-year-old kids on kayaks blowing out to sea. One of them had tipped out. If we'd been 5-10 minutes later, I think the 11-year-old, it would have been recovering the body. But we got there, and you always do then think after that, what if? So it's dealing with that yourself. Fortunately, we're part of a good team who've got we have a lot of support on that side of things. So yeah, that's one of the biggest challenges.
It's really the training is more than what people expect at first. I think a lot of people don't quite realise actually how much there is to get done. So getting your head around of everything and all of the things you actually need to learn, especially some people are better at certain aspects than others. So being able to overcome those challenges is quite a big thing.
One of the challenging exercises so far is part of the sea survival training, where you recover yourself into the lifeboat, so you enter the water, and as the boat is drifting, you drift with it down the Thames, and you have to recover yourself onto it through the engine at the back and also over the side. So that's pretty hard. That's a fairly unique thing and something I've not done before, so that was pretty hard.
I've had people come up to me and saying I've inspired them in quite a lot of ways, and many friends I've known says I can never imagine myself being able to do that. I says you can do anything if you put your mind to it, and being able to go out and tell or advise people community safety messages, everywhere, like not just face to face but online, anywhere, even just say respect the water. It's amazing how many people actually do listen, and especially if it's somebody they know. They're like, oh, what, really? You tell them advice, and they're like, oh, what? They didn't realise the severity of a situation. And you tell them that, how many people could be prevented from these drownings by just giving them these key messages. But being part of the community is just a big thing. It's really, really good. I quite enjoy it.
Once you're more involved, it actually becomes more of that sort of like, that what you are doing could make a difference to one person. And also, even when we're not, say, on duty, it's also having that awareness around you. You think, well, that's not safe, and just sort of being able to go to someone and say, actually, don't do this, don't do that, or give them a little bit of advice. The community life-saving side of it is becoming more and more important. So you do become more involved and more passionate about that, because you don't want people. Ideally, we want to come here every day and go out training and that. We don't want to go out to shouts to people, in an ideal world, but that's never going to happen. So we have to be prepared for it.
I think the most rewarding part of being in the RNLI is dealing with the volunteers, staff members and managers within the RNLI. Just at Gravesend, the amount of crew that we've got, their backgrounds, is just, when you step back and look, it's just phenomenal. When you look at their what they're doing in their full-time occupation, committing their time to the RNLI, and striking out work-life balance. That's the biggest reward coming out from working with the crew.
I think knowing that you've gone out there, you've given it your best and you've done a good job, coming back after something like that, you feel there's a great deal of satisfaction that comes from that, and knowing that could have been something as simple as giving something a tow, or something as big as saving someone's life. It's immensely satisfying just knowing that you've been able to get out there and help someone in need.
I would always advise everyone to join the RNLI. It's a great organisation, it's great support, and it's also a great community. When I moved back to Whitstable after being out of the country for 10 years, didn't really know everyone. Now, friends from all around the coast. So yeah, it's a great opportunity.
The RNLI have this mantra of owning your own development plan. So the more you train, the more you'll get back from it, and there is a timescale that you've got to get to certain milestones. So yeah, just be prepared to commit your time and effort.
When I first joined, I was thinking of joining. It was a bit frightening at first for me because the station I was originally joining, I was the only female. I advise anyone not to let that put anyone off and go for it, because it's all a good community to be in. It's such a good feeling to get out of it. So if anyone wants to join, I'd say just go for it. You never know unless you try, and you will enjoy it.
Starting off at the station with a table, a chair and a telephone, a handful of crew, and seeing where we are now with a very close knit tight team, willing to go out and engage with community and stakeholders. I'd say that's been the biggest change. Our current facility offers us to provide and deliver a rescue service, and that is it. It doesn't allow us to engage with the community. It doesn't allow us to invite people in. It's quite restrictive in that sense. So for a future facility, looking at somewhere where we could get the community to come down and see us. I foresee a lifeboat station being a community lifeboat station, where it just doesn't serve as one purpose for launching a lifeboat. It could be used for PCSOs, other voluntary work, other voluntary organisations coming in to use that facility and using it as an epicentre for the community. For delivery of lifeboat service, I'd like to see training rooms, better facilities than what we've got at the moment, to help us evolve further into a great station. Probably my funniest moment with the RNLI has been getting called to a man in a small coracle made out of horse skin and willow. When we approached him, he had a nice little flag in his coracle, so we went alongside and asked him what he was doing, and he presented me with an ostrich egg, and he said, "I'm going to put this egg of peace in the womb of the ocean." So I said to him, "Oh, that's nice. Whereabouts is the womb of the ocean?" He said, "Oh, it's just off Southend, mate." But there's been many ones. We've had kids in wheelie bins, rowing wheelie bins down the river. There's been loads, and just when you think you've seen everything on the river, something else comes along to surprise you.